Hi guys, welcome to today's vlog. As you guys can tell by the title, today's going to be a little bit of a different format for a vlog. I'm testing it out to see if I like doing this kind of thing or if a video like this would be better as a sit-down video, so let me know. But I'm going to take you guys throughout my day, but also share about something that's been weighing on my heart and something I've been wanting to share for quite a while. I do want to put out a quick disclaimer here in the beginning of this video. I am going to be talking about PTSD. I am going to be talking about trauma and specifically medical trauma. So if that's something that's hard for you to watch or consume content surrounding PTSD or trauma of any kind, please don't watch this video. The last thing I would want is for you to get upset. My feelings will not be hurt. I just want you to feel mentally healthy, and if that means not watching a video like this, that is completely fine. So don't feel obligated to watch a video like this, because I know for me, sometimes it's really hard for me to consume content about when someone's talking about any aspect of their mental health. So first off, something I do want to say is I feel, at least in my experience now, other people's experiences can be completely different. But in my experience, a lot of people, not everyone, but quite a bit of people believe that people who have served overseas, who have been in the military, or any kinds of armed force are the only group of people who experience PTSD because they've witnessed horrifying things that we can't even imagine what they've seen. And I mean, that is true. There is quite a lot of people who have served in the armed forces who do deal with PTSD because they've seen such horrifying things. And I'm not diminishing theirs in the least, but there's also a large group of people who have never served in any kind of armed force who have PTSD, and it can happen to anyone, and it can happen after any traumatic event, whether the traumatic event happened to them or they witnessed a traumatic event. And honestly, PTSD, a lot of people don't talk about it or raise awareness about it. But do you want to know the statistics on how many cases per year? More than 3 million US cases per year. And there's a lot of symptoms, and the symptoms suck, and they're really hard to work through. So if you want to know some of the symptoms, they may include nightmares or unwanted memories of the trauma, avoidance of situations that bring back memories of the trauma. That's something I dealt with. Heightened reactions, anxiety or depressed mood, both of those I've experienced. Agitation, irritability, hostility, hypervigilance, self-destructive behavior or social isolation. Flashback, fear, severe anxiety or mistrust. Loss of interest or pleasure in activities, guilt or loneliness, insomnia or nightmares. Unwanted thoughts are common as well, and I've dealt with PTSD because of traumatic medical situations I've been in. So now that we have the formal part of the video, I want to talk more about my experience. So in the beginning of the video, I mentioned I was going to be talking about medical trauma. And for me, that started in 2016. I went through a really scary, terrifying 6-month downward spiral of my health from January to June of 2016. I was 15 and it ended with me almost not making it. And every month basically created a new trauma. So for me, it was for years, probably up until a year or two ago, I couldn't really talk about it with anybody, because if I talked about it, I would get all of these feelings, and then I would get the flashbacks, and then all it took was the smell of an alcohol wipe this one specific time, and I would be back in the hospital room, and I would be able to see exactly what I saw back when I really was there. Like, it was a genuine flashback. And I will say the only thing that helped me was therapy and time. That's how I got through it. If I didn't have therapy, I don't know where it would be. I honestly don't. But for me, I had almost every single symptom of PTSD, and when you're 15 and dealing with that, it's terrifying feeling that way, let alone trying to process everything you just went through. So that was my first time dealing with PTSD. So that happened in 2016, and since then I have had other traumatic medical situations occur, and one of those was last year. Last year in March, from March 2nd to March 6th, I was in the hospital, and then from March 8th to April 4th, I want to say, I was in the hospital trying to figure out what was wrong with me. We later found out at the very end of our hospital visit that I had pancreatic insufficiency, which is a different video, but basically my pancreas doesn't function properly. It doesn't absorb the nutrients from food that I need, so I was very, very malnourished. We finally found out, but I had to go through 3 rounds of tests total, the same test, because the first 2 times I did the tests, they didn't tell me everything I needed to do before them. Anyways, that's irrelevant. But a solid month of that caused a lot of trauma. Then I was home for a week, and then I was back in the hospital, but with sepsis. All that to say, 2020 was medically very traumatizing for me, and yeah, and then everything that happened in 2020, I don't need to explain that one to you guys. Altogether, it's just made it really, really hard. I'm kind of in murky waters right now, and what I mean by that is I wouldn't say I'm necessarily struggling at the moment with PTSD. I'm more so dealing with a lot of anxiety about it, and anxiety about certain things I struggled with then and things that I'm struggling with now. But PTSD is really hard, and medical trauma is really hard, and whether you feel like you don't have PTSD but you still feel like you have trauma that you're recovering from, or vice versa, however you label it, it's valid. It's very valid. Medical situations are traumatic. The moment you step into an ER can be traumatic, especially if you're someone who has a chronic illness and you have a history of doctors not listening to you and treating you horribly, and then those things come true and it doesn't help with the trauma of your body failing you. So medical trauma is very real. It's very, very hard to heal from, but if I had any advice, I would say time and therapy. If you're able to go to therapy, go to therapy. That's extremely helpful. Everything in a therapy session is 100% confidential unless there is, the therapist deems, if you are a threat to yourself or others. That is the only time, because the therapist is a mandated reporter, but other than that, anything you say will be confidential. And for me, that's helped me a lot. That's reassured me a lot. Especially getting into some really hard things to talk about. So I wanted to share this video make this video because this isn't talked about enough. It's not. My medical trauma revolves around my body failing me. It revolves around really bad experiences with doctors. It revolves around the weird things happening to me medically, being in the hospital during a pandemic, and then spending your 19th birthday in a hospital. It's very traumatizing, and I want to say something and make something very clear. If you feel you have trauma, if you think you do, you probably honestly do, of some sort. If you think you have medical trauma, or you know you have medical trauma, don't compare your experiences to anyone else's. Don't compare them to mine. Because yes, your experiences could have been a little bit easier than mine were, or worse than mine were. But don't sit here and don't ever compare your situation to others, because someone's always going to have it worse than you and someone's always going to have it better than you. But those two people, that doesn't mean their struggles are invalidated. It doesn't mean my struggles are invalidated, because what's traumatic for me might not be traumatic to someone else, but what's traumatic for someone else might not be as traumatic to me. And it's so important to remember that and know that everyone's struggles are their own struggles and you should never compare them. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, definitely comment them down below. If you want me to go more in detail about my medical trauma, I can. Just let me know in the comments down below. This is a very vulnerable video, so just ask that you be respectful in the comments. And thank you guys so much for watching this vlog today. I hope you guys have a great day, and that this video helped raise some awareness. So thanks for watching. Bye guys.